Hello, my name is Lionel. I live here in British Columbia on Salt Spring Island, and I weave willow baskets. I learned in France in my late teens, early 20s. I grow willow for basketry. These are varieties of willow that have been developed in Europe over the centuries that are very long and flexible, and which I grow here in British Columbia, and I sort them by length so that we have bundles of willow all the same length. So the willows have been dried, harvested in the winter, dried, and now re-soaked and then soaked so that now they are pliable and ready to use for basketry. To make a basket, you like to be sitting close to the ground, not in a regular chair, but about halfway, and at your right hands, your tools, and basically 3 tools: pruning shears, an awl, also called a bodkin, and a knife. This is really all you need. And then there is a bat, wrapping iron to tighten the basket, which is not really needed, and then some different knives, but really this is what you need. To weave a basket, you start by weaving the bottom, and it could be, like for instance in this one, a cross of 5 by 5 willows, or like in this one, a cross of 3 by 3 willows. And it could be 4 by 4, it could be for a big tray, you would do 6 by 6 to have more sticks. Yes. And for instance, this one is 5 by 5. And traditionally, a 3 by 3 bottom, because you have then 6 sticks, so 12 ends, so 24 uprights if you put 2 uprights per end. So with a 3 by 3, you have 24 uprights. With a 5 by 5, because you have 10 sticks, you then have 20 ends, and that's 20 uprights. I don't know if this is very clear, but so this is, for instance, a 5 by 5 with 20 uprights, which for a small basket is suitable. So I think we'll do one of these today. Voila. And other bottoms include, for instance, oval, for an oval basket. Now we will start the 5 by 5 round bottom. So let's say we have 2 varieties here to play with. We have the Alba and we have the Purpurea, and they are both, the Alba is very soft. So now in basketry, really important to work with willows that are well matched. And so I'm going to select, for my 5 by 5 cross, I'm going to select 10 rods. And you go through the bundle, and actually by feeling with your hands, you achieve a lot. You can really tell, because your basket will be much nicer if your willows are well matched. So now I'm going to select 10 rods evenly matched. You see, the bundle has been sorted by length, so all the willows are the same length, but they have different diameters. So, okay, what do we have? 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. The willow, I like to keep it in a bundle so that it doesn't dry. If the willow was loose all over the place, it would dry much faster. So always my tools being at my right hand, I'm going to trim the ends. And now for, let's see, we're doing this about. So it's a length of about a diameter of just over 20 centimeters. So I will take this measure here and cut it a little bit longer. I can put it under my arm like this and cut them together. Okay, so now out of these 10, I will take the 5 fattest ones. 1, 2, 3. 4, 5. Okay, and then I take one. Okay, now I want to show you that a willow is not straight. A willow has a curve, and this is here I'm looking at the back of the willow, and here I'm looking at the belly of the willow. So it's important that all the willows flow together like this when you, for instance, when you will be putting your uprights, that you don't have some going this way and some going that way. You want always the flow of the willow to go together. So you take a willow and you're looking at the belly, you see, and you split it, you insert your blade, not aiming at your wrist, but aiming at the little gap there that you, and you put your blade in and you turn like this to open a gap, turn, and insert one rod. Take another willow and you stagger the butts and the tips. You see I have the thin end here, so now we put the fat end here. Tack. Same thing, looking at the belly, and insert the blade, twist the willow. Now I take a third willow, which is the fattest of the group of 5. Because in a 5 by 5 cross, the center willow does not bend. You see, the center of the cross, so that you can afford using the fattest rod there. 3. 4th willow. And the 5th. So I now have a cross of 5 willow being crossed by 1. And now all I have to do is insert the 4 other willows. 2. Always staggering the butts and the tips. Okay, so now I have my cross. Voila. 5 by 5, and I just turn the willows a bit so that all the bellies work nicely together. Because you would like to have the bottom of the basket most of the time slightly concave, like this, so that it's already fighting the weight that will be put in the basket. If the basket were to be flat, it would almost want to bend the other way. So you want to have that slight slope, concaveness. Okay, next step. Now we will, so I can even those out a little bit. Yeah. To tie, to start, we do a weave called pairing. So I will choose some very long and flexible rods. So I select 2 willows the same, and you can check if the rods are good, you see. If you had a willow that was kinked, you would find out right away. So I have my 2 willows. I'm looking at the bellies. And for the first 2 willows, and for only the first 2 willows, I shave off the first couple inches like this, shaving a good half of the willow off and finishing into a point on the first 2 willows only. There. This will help with the first few turns. The willows that are split are vertically. You insert the willow in the top right corner, bark to bark, so that the white is facing you. During the whole basket, your right hand weaves, your left hand holds, especially your left thumb, very important. Always the left thumb is always there holding the willow. First motion, this willow that is white looking at you, it is folded and held with the left thumb. Second motion, this one here is folded so that the white is hidden, folded. And now I turn the works, and it goes down and again held by the left thumb. And then you start this motion again, under, turn, down, hold. Under, turn, down, hold. Under, hold. Under. We do the second turn on the outside. You could do a third turn, but 2 is usually enough. Has to do with the length of your willows. If your willows are still too fat, you might do a third turn, because if they are not too fat, a group of 5, you split like this. You split 2, left thumb holds down. And now this weave is called pairing. Both willows being away from you, the willow at the back goes up over one stick, holding with the left thumb, and down. And I start this motion over again. The willow at the back goes up over one stick and down. Up and down. So the group of 5 we divide like this. 2, 1, 2 for the first turn. Then they are divided one by one. And up, that's when you pull. You see, pull, open, and down. It's when you pull like this that you tighten. Then when you push down, you don't tighten, because it's this rod that will come and tighten. So you don't have to pull like this. And now the second turn, you're dividing the willows. Up, down, up. You see, you can have your hand up like this, and your little finger becomes really tough, because that's where, but you can also hold it like this. So when these first 2 willows run out, I will add 2 more willows. So I select 4 rods, about the same diameter. Actually, I will take 2 a little bit fatter than the others. And I will start with the ones which are fatter. You will see why later. And so for adding the willows when they have run out, we add, this is a willow rod with the butt and the tip. So you always add tip to tips, and you also add butt to butts. I will show you how. The willows are both away from you. It goes over one, under the other, and move ahead. The left thumb, so important. Over one, under the other, the left thumb comes. Up, down, up, down. I continue pairing. evening out the spacing between the sticks. Also watching out for corrugations in the basket, that is trying to weave it all in the same plane. Up, down. So that's on the up that you tighten. That's when you go up that you tighten, and down you don't tighten. Up. As the willows are now in place and are not going to slip, I can start to pull as I go up. I'm pulling quite strongly to tighten them well together, especially here where I added there may be a little gap, so I tighten this to get rid of it. Left thumb holds always on the stick. Up, down, pull, don't pull, pull, don't pull, pull, don't pull. See, I am holding it like this. It's nice to have an apron, it's not necessary, but I'm giving it like this, that concaveness that I'm looking for. Of course, you don't want too much concaveness, but it will be okay. Up, down, up, down, up, up. So I'm getting a little bit warmer in the workshop, pulling on these willows. So I'm almost done here. They're getting a bit hard to maneuver. You want to always protect the stick. You never want the stick to kink. It's always the weaver bending around the stick. So I'm almost here, up, always the left thumb, okay. So now we stop here and we add the next two willows a little bit thinner, because they are going to be held by these two. So you want these two to be stronger. So I add the first one over the first willow, under, like this, and then I kink it on the stick, holding it with my left thumb, back. Same with the second rod, over the first one, under the second one, kink it on the stick, and go ahead. Then you carry on the pairing, up, down, in the same way. Now, if we want to change color, if we want to use some alba now, it's always when you're at the tip that you will change color. So we're going to select the thinnest possible from this bundle, and you start at one edge of the bundle and go through it. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have 4 willows. This is how you check if there is a kink, and there is 2 kinks. There are 2 kinks. Okay, so throw this down, and I'm going to take 2 more willows. 1 and 2. Okay. Oh, again, a double kink in one rod, and a bit fat. Here we go. And there we go. Okay. So I take first the 2 fattest willows. Here we are. So we add tip to tips. So with both willows are away from me. Over, under, over, under. That's all. And so important, your left thumb. So we work on evening out the spacing. Up, down, up, down. You see, these willows were harvested some years ago in the winter. You always harvest in the winter on the black moon when the sap is down, so that there is not too much sap in the wood, because the sap would make the wood rot faster. So what my teacher told me, always cut on the black moon. If you made a basket with green willow, freshly cut, then when the basket dries out, each rod would shrink a little bit and the basket would be loose and weak. So that the willows have to be dried. It takes until midsummer so that they are dried outside in a woodshed, or even under a cedar tree, or with a bit of shelter, but still exposed to the wind and weather even. Then, once they are dried, you can keep them for years in the dry form, and before making a basket, you soak the willows, and the warmer the water, the faster the soaking. The rule of thumb in the summertime being a day per foot of length. So a 7-foot bundle would take about a week. The faster, the warmer the water, the faster the soak. So if the bark starts to crack like this, you just back up a little bit. And now we'll add bud to bud, over one, under the other, and go ahead. Over one, under the other, and weave ahead. Up, down, up, down, up, down. So as you pull, as you tighten by pulling like this with your hand facing the ceiling, or like this. So you can use the awl to help you even out the spacing. And there, oh la la, it doesn't look good, but it will be good. Pull down, pull down, to get rid of the gap. Just pull as you go, down, pull. See, usually it's good to really mix the colors, not to have a big area of green purpurea, then a big area of yellow alba. Better to blend the color and to change often. Looks better, I think. Then to trim the willows, you want the blade of your shears parallel to your basket. You don't want to cut, you want to be like this, so that the cut is nice and flat with the bottom. Also, so far we're doing well. We have addings here and addings there, so they are on almost opposite sides. You don't want to have all the addings on one side of the basket, because then it probably would not be round. As we're moving away from the center, the spacing between the sticks gets bigger, so that you can use bigger, a little bit fatter willows the more you go to the outside. So I take my 4, I take the first two, And sometimes I like to blend them in. It's the same. Over one, under, and then you can blend them in. Same, but different. So here we go. There. See, as you kink the willow, and then hopefully, there. It's important to have the sticks evenly spaced, the spokes, so that in turn your uprights will be evenly spaced. Up, down, up. So here we are, almost finished with the bottom, and the last two willows that I add in a different way. That makes a sort of a knot which will not come out, and then you can make a bunch of bottoms ahead of time, and it's good this way, it won't come out. So you've seen how all the addings were on the underneath of the basket. For once we will add on the other way. So here I am finishing this up, down, up, down, up, down. Let's say I'm here. I take two willows. They don't have to be smaller. They can even be slightly a little bit fatter or about the same. All you do is open the gap of the finishing rod and slide this one side beside it, sticking in on the, for once, on the inside. Same with the other rod, and you keep weaving up, down, up, down. You keep weaving until the willow ends on the tip. You always end by the tip. Down, down. So important, your left thumb always there, holding the willow, that as it goes over the stick. Up, down, up, down. Go over there, we go to the end. Or before it becomes too weak, as you go over the stick, you plunge right into the weaving. If you have to, you use the awl. And here we are. One is enough, but you can do two. Tack. Okay. And these two willows, for now, I cut a little bit longer than the rest, just because I'll be putting in willows in there and things that we want to slide, so just to make sure that it doesn't slide. And now, again, with my shear parallel to the basket, bottom, I trim all the ends, making sure, of course, that the ends sit on a stick. There. And here we go. Voila. We're done the bottom. The next step will be to put in the sides. We have 5 by 5, 10 willows, which means 20 ends. We will cut one rod per end and have a 20 stake basket.